Hi everyone, this is Scarlett Johnson with Moms for Liberty, and this is our week in review. It's a little bit late, it's Tuesday. Was hoping to do this on Monday, but I still have kids that have not started school, and if you're a parent, you know how that goes. So I am getting to this now, and I had such a great weekend in Washington, D.C., and was able to record a 15-minute video that just recaps the and highlights the stories that we've covered on Moms for Liberty social media and through our podcast over the last week. And I got to do that in front of the White House, which was amazing. It was very hot, but it's great. I'm so grateful that we have this access, that we are able to be a voice for parents all across the country, and that I have a new media press pass, and it's just been wonderful that like we have a seat at the table. And on Saturday, I was blessed enough to attend a See You at the Library event at the Library of Congress, and that was amazing. I got to meet Kirk Cameron, and I had to say when I met him that I was a big fan of Growing Pains. And, I had his Team Bop poster on the back of my door when I was a little kid. So, I guess that ages me just a little bit. But yeah, big fan of Kirk Cameron back then, and even bigger fan now because of his commitment to the cause of changing culture. And as he showed in his video, he plays a video before starting the event, and it explains sort of the whole backstory as to why he partnered with Braver Books to start these See You at the Library events. And it's because there was Drag Queen Story Hour, there were drag queens in schools and in public libraries, and events where little children were kind of being read books that were really age inappropriate by drag queens. So men dressed as a caricature of women, and just it wasn't appropriate, and he had a different idea, a different plan, and so did a lot of other folks. And that was, why don't we read kids good, wholesome content, and let's show them illustrations that are appropriate and beautiful, and tell timeless classic stories, and get back to literacy, get back to really beautiful storytelling, and let's focus on education and instilling in America's children the values that have made America great. And so attending that event at the Library of Congress was wonderful. Michael Knowles was the moderator of the event and introduced a lot of the other speakers, and there was a definite tone of this was a lot of the Christianity. We had a priest there, we had evangelical, and it was really great to see. And so we live streamed that event, by the way, and we're going to be posting that on our YouTube page. So I want to get right to the briefing, which I recorded just on Sunday afternoon in DC. Kind of covers a quick overview of the stories that were important over the last week, and then I'll do a kind of include a few more stories that have happened since then before I close out. So this will be a quick one, and let's just get right to it. Rosalind Hanson represented us in DC, in the White House, as the discussions continue about America 250. There was an America 250. I'm going to start this from the beginning.
Hi, I'm Scarlett Johnson, and I'm with Moms for Liberty, and this is our week in review, and it has been a very busy week. First of all, the week started off great. when Moms for Liberty, Rosalind Hanson, represented us in DC, in the White House, as the discussions continue about America 250. There was an America 250 summit. The key takeaway was American history, civics, and the spirit of our founding will be celebrated and honored like never before in June and July of 2026. It's going to be a very exciting time, and Moms for Liberty is thrilled to be a partner in this endeavor, partner with the White House. The first kind of disturbing story to discuss was what happened in Illinois. Illinois is the first state in the nation to require mental health screenings in public schools. Yes, require mental health screenings in public schools. They're coming for your kids in a very real way. This won't end until we end it. This is weaponized empathy for control. So, yes, your kids will be going to school to attend therapy sessions as young as preschool. They are going to find a problem that they will, of course, have to fix, and then they'll just need, I don't know, a few more $1 billion to fix it. Abigail Shrier said, "This is a disastrous policy that will do more harm than good," and I agree, and so do many of the members of Moms for Liberty. Representative Mary Miller of Illinois, who is a hero, she right away stood up and she said she is going to introduce a bill combating this Illinois law that requires invasive student mental health screenings. So make sure you contact Representative Mary Miller, no matter where you live, and say thank you for standing up, thank you for fighting for kids, and contact your own representatives, whether they are Democrats or Republicans or independents, and ask them to sign on to the legislation that Representative Mary Miller is introducing. We want to stop this, we want to end this. There should not be mental health screenings required for K through 12 students in public schools. That's just a recipe for disaster. So I'm sure if you have been paying attention to Moms for Liberty social media or watching more conservative news media, you have heard that in Massachusetts, there was a police training in which Moms for Liberty was labeled a hate group alongside very radical organizations that are violent and anti-government and just terrible. We're just moms. We're just moms volunteers who are attending school board meetings, going to state legislative hearings, showing up at the White House, showing up in Congress, showing up in PTO meetings, and just fighting for our kids, working alongside teachers to improve education, to improve literacy, and to stop woke indoctrination in schools. That is sanity. That is not hate. And so what was great news to hear is that several conservative organizations around the country are standing up and joining us in condemning this action by the police training in Massachusetts based on the Southern Poverty Law Center's classification as Moms for Liberty as a hate group. And the SPLC has a habit of labeling anything they disagree with as hate. Next, Loudoun County, Virginia, not too far from where I am now, has decided to go to war with the U.S. Department of Education. The Loudoun County Public Schools voted this week that they're not going to comply with President Trump's executive orders, and they're not going to adhere to Title IX and protect women and girls. They are going to allow students to choose their preferred bathroom and locker rooms, and there are several other Virginia schools, woke schools, that have openly defied President Trump and Secretary Linda McMahon and Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Harmeet Dillon of the OCR. They are saying, you know what, we're going to let boys go into the girls' bathrooms because we care more about the optics of radical transgender ideology than we do kids. And they're willing to risk federal funding for this. So the fight is not over. Woke plays for keeps, so we have to as well. How many other districts will follow suit this fall? there are probably going to be several: Illinois, California, Minnesota, Maine, there's Madison, Wisconsin, the brightest blue areas in even red states. So this is something we have to keep our eye out for. On Monday, President Trump gave a press conference regarding the crime in Washington, D.C. And at this conference, he said something very important. He said regarding woke and gender ideology, they, meaning Democrats who are just refusing to quit woke, they haven't changed a thing, he said. They just don't get it. As he was discussing these common sense policies that his administration has been putting forth, but Democrats oppose them. They don't want to protect female sports, and they don't want to remove radical, overtly sexualized K through 12 content that just keeps finding its way into public schools. President Trump said they have no idea what they're doing, meaning Democrats. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody, everybody transgender, end vote. President Trump, he just speaks plainly, and that's what so many Americans love about him, and that's what I love about him. He just kind of lays it all out there. He's right to say that they are stubbornly holding on to their ideology despite the absurdity. He ended by saying this, meaning boys and girls sports, it's an 80-20 issue, supposedly. He said, I believe it's a 97-3 issue, and I don't know who the three are. I agree with you, Mr. President. This is a slam dunk, overwhelming issue that most all Americans agree with, except for a few of the blue hairs. I think that if you don't agree with this, you are probably somebody who is not interested in protecting children, and I question the motives of people who don't want to protect the innocence of children. So I think President Trump was right when he said, no one comes up to me and says, sir, I just want to get those boys in the girls' bathroom. Sir, I want men. I want 200-pound dudes playing on all-female teams with 105-pound girls. That's what I want to see. No one ever says that. It happens, and then, unfortunately, a lot of white women stand up for these men, but it's just not sane, it's not normal, it's not common sense. Next up, Secretary Linda McMahon put out a press release this week saying that the U.S. Department of Education is launching investigations into 4 Kansas school districts for alleged Title IX and FERPA violations. Secretary McMahon said that she has reason to believe that 4 Kansas school districts are hiding students' gender transitions, so-called gender transitions, from parents, and also violating Title IX by allowing boys into girls' locker rooms. I am so pleased to know that the Trump administration is going to uphold the law, protect parental rights, and protect children from this diabolical gender ideology. In New York, victory for parental rights. So this a big case, we were celebrating this in a major stand for the parents' ability to protect their children's health. In the case of Sarah Doe versus Oceanside School District, the district court there was a district court that refused to honor a legitimate medical exemption for Sarah. And Sarah's family, Sarah's family doctors said she should not get this vaccine. She was supposed to get a 3rd installment of a vaccine from which she had harmful side effects. They challenged the district's refusal to honor this legitimate exemption, and a ruling came out just weeks before this 16-year-old girl's junior year, and a federal judge ordered the Oceanside School District to accept the exemption based on the recommendation of the student's personal physician, who determined that the adverse reaction to a previous dose meant she should not receive a 3rd. We are celebrating this. However, it is sad that it took a federal judge to basically say what is common sense, that there should not be a one-size-fits-all policy regarding medicine, that disturbs parents' rights and medical freedom. And so I applaud the decision, but it's unfortunate that it took going to a federal judge for a 16-year-old girl to win this case when even her doctor said no, she should not get that vaccination. Outside of the courthouse, there were hundreds of supporters dressed in pink to show solidarity with Sarah, who was visibly emotional after the decision. In unfortunate news, a Moms for Liberty New Jersey chapter chair, who is also a Girl Scout troop leader for 7 years. She has a Girl Scout troop of girls that she has been with for a long time. Her daughter is in the troop. These girls are in 6th grade. Well, she was removed from her leadership role after vocalizing concerns about a shift towards LGBTQIA plus activism and the introduction of gender sexuality alliance clubs to 6th grade girls without parental knowledge or consent. She simply just went online and said, no, I am not going to take these girls to a church that had trans flags adorned all around it and take them to listen to a young teen transgender activist, that's self-proclaimed transgender activist, a boy pretending to be a girl, that was going to basically propagandize transgenderism, gender identity to these young girls. These girls, 12, 13 years old, maybe 11? No, she said, no, I'm not doing it. And she made other parents and her community members aware of what was going on. They were outraged. And of course, the Girl Scouts of Northern New Jersey sent her this email, and they gave her a call, and they said, you're no longer going to be a troop leader. This is something that we need to fight against, stand up to, and it's an injustice. We pointed this out on social media since then. Alex, the New Jersey chapter chair, she has been on all sorts of talk shows all weekend, and she has been talking about this. So I have a good feeling that they're going to reverse their decision, and if they don't, I think parents have a lot of thinking to do about whether or not their daughters should participate in Girl Scouts. California has a bill, AB 495, that would allow any non-related adult, such as a neighbor, teacher, former relative, or even a complete stranger, to take custody of a child without a parent's knowledge or consent. There'd be no background checks, no court orders, and no need for a parent's signature. I mean, this is insanity. This is insanity. Finally, let's end on a good note. I am here in DC because last night I was at a wonderful event, See You at the Library of Congress. Members of Moms for Liberty across the country and parents and grandparents, community members everywhere organized and participated in See You at the Library Storytime events in their local libraries yesterday. We will spend the entire week putting up the images and videos from these events. They're wonderful. The event I was at was just heartwarming. It was wholesome. It was good. It was just a delight. It was a delight to be there. And I was there with Moms for Liberty's co-founder and CEO, Tina Deskovich. We had a great time. So this is the first endeavor by the U.S. Department of Education Center for Faith and Brave for Good, part of Brave Books, to put on this event. And Kirk Cameron was there, Michael Knowles was there, lots of other folks were there. It was wonderful. And this was an inspiring gathering that celebrated the power of storytelling to uplift, to educate, and connect communities. Also, the speakers reflected on the role of faith and courage in shaping young minds. And it was wonderful to see. And I am so thankful. I'm so thankful for President Trump, an administration that prioritizes preserving childhood innocence over pushing age-inappropriate sexualized content into the hearts and minds of America's children. Aren't you proud? Aren't you glad? I'm so grateful for Secretary of Education Linda McMahon and for all the representatives of the Trump administration that were there yesterday and for this event, their first event. It was great. Our live stream did wonderful. And it just goes to show, a lot of people asked, hey, why does Moms for Liberty need a press pass? Why are we going to start to focus on new media? And putting out content. Well, that was why we live streamed this event and made it possible for folks all over the country, all over the world, to watch it firsthand. And we're going to continue to provide really good content like that. We have the Fire of Liberty podcast with Tina Deskovich, and we have Missy, who is doing these wonderful trainings and informative events with Moms for Liberty Academy. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more great content, and so grateful to have this access. It's really important because if we don't speak up for children, who will? If we don't speak out in defense of parental rights, who's going to do it? So this is our job. This is what we have to do. And we can have a lot of fun doing it. That's why we're called Joyful Warriors. So this was the Week in Review with Moms for Liberty. I'm Scarlett Johnson. It's a wonderful day. I'm going to go do some more sightseeing with my family before heading back to Wisconsin. And again, stay tuned because we have some really great, really fabulous guests coming up through August and September. And we are 2 months away from Summit in Orlando. So if you don't have your tickets, you need to get them. You need to register. I was just at the Gaylord Conference Center and Hotel Resort in Orlando. It is fabulous. It's beautiful. The whole event's going to be so beautiful. And the guests, when we start announcing who's going to speak, you all going to wish you had your tickets. So get them now, before the room block closes and before it's too late. So again, signing off. God bless and enjoy your day. And hey, follow Moms for Liberty. Follow us on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. Please subscribe and like our YouTube channel. Okay, we need to grow this. They say YouTube is just for men. Let's prove them wrong. Okay? All right. Bye, everybody.
Well, if that isn't grassroots, I don't know what is. I'm watching this as it goes and laughing because some of the images in the background that weren't in the right place. I think during the editing on CapCut, some things got. But first time that I've done it, and I ran into Libby Evans of Post Millennial while I was at the Library of Congress, a See You at the Library event, and I'm there trying to live stream. I have my camera. I'm with my kids and my husband. I'm just kind of, I'm like, hey, I'm new to all this, learning a lot, and she was really sweet. I said, sometimes I feel like it's like fake it till you make it. And she's like, that's everyone. You're trying something new, you're doing something different. And that's what this is all about. I'm not a professional reporter. I am, grassroots activist. And a lot of us in Moms for Liberty, a lot of the folks that you're going to see in front of a camera, that the images we post, or when our moms are on Fox and Friends or Newsmax or local media, we are just doing the best we can. We are being the honest voice of America, of our communities. And that's what makes Moms for Liberty so special and so different, that we're real people. We're just trying to do the right thing and make a change. And I think that's great. I mean, most of the time, I've been doing this for 5 years. I'd rather listen to a regular person, grassroots activist. I'd rather talk to my good friends that have so much knowledge on these subjects, rather than a big time influencer. I'd rather have like these great deep dive conversations, or hear from parents on the front lines. Parents like Alex from New Jersey, the kids like we were talking about, Sarah, the 16-year-old girl and her family who fought for medical freedom. They're heroes and they're on the front lines, and I really enjoy listening to them. And another big hero that is going to be on Tina Deskovich's podcast tomorrow morning, Jennifer Say. So mark your calendar now. Set an alarm, set an alert. Tune in. We will have this live on all of our socials. We have a YouTube channel, be live there. Every time I hear Jennifer Say speak, and she's a former athlete gymnast, Olympic gymnast, and and then she had this big, this very big corporate job working for Levi's in California, gave it all up to fight for what she believes in, and then started her own company, XXXY. I wear her shirts just about every day. Every day I'm wearing a different, some combination of an XXXY shirt. When I went to testify this year, many times I did go to testify in Madison. I'm from Wisconsin, so I went to the Capitol in Madison, and when I would testify, I would just wear a different XXXY shirt that had one of the bold statements on them, and everyone would come up to me and say, "I love your shirt." So it was great. But she's humorous, she's honest, she's real, and every time I hear her speak, I'm taking notes thinking I want to use that line. That was great. That was so honest. So on the Fire of Liberty show with Tina Descovich, Jennifer Say will be a guest tomorrow, and that's going to be a really special show. So you should tune in and watch. And if you miss it, you can watch it on our Moms for Liberty YouTube and Rumble, and it's on. It's on everywhere that you can listen to a podcast. It's there. So the Fire of Liberty show. And tonight, I know we're going to have a Moms for Liberty Academy webinar, and that'll be at 6 o'clock. So stay tuned and watch that. And the topic that I'm looking right now is going to be part of the. I'm going to go backwards. There is on the YouTube channel, you could watch a Moms for Liberty Academy from yesterday, Know Your Rights, a campus briefing, very informative. And if you're a parent who has children that are headed back to public schools, watch that one. Talks about FOIA requests, opt-outs, all the legal information that you could need right there. So watch that if you have any questions. And then we also have toolkits on our website to back up, so if there's something you don't understand, just hop on over to our website and there's a toolkit there for you. So at 6 o'clock tonight, we have another webinar that you can watch live, or if you miss it, tune into our YouTube channel. And before I head out, because I have to take my daughter to an appointment, and it's back to school orientations for me tonight. I have a series of them, and we're going to be packing up backpacks, making sure we have lunch ready, all that good stuff. But I did want to again put this out live, and as you can tell, this is again grassroots. There's a very big story that just broke yesterday that I do want to talk about. I'm going to play a 4-minute video, and we're going to talk about it really briefly. So let's just watch this.
Loudoun County Public Schools is suspending 2 boys who expressed their discomfort that a female student who identifies as a boy was using the boys' locker room.
Now, 7 News was the first to break this story on WJLA.com. That happened this afternoon. Now, tonight, we've got something new here. Nick Minock spoke with the parents of the boys who the school district says harassed and discriminated against their classmate.
Seth Wolf and Renee Smith say their sons weren't comfortable with a biologically female student who identifies as male using the boys' locker room at Stonebridge High School. In this video, first obtained by 7 News, the boys can be heard asking why there was a girl in the boys' locker room. The video was recorded by the female student, who then complained to administrators about their behavior. On Friday evening, Seth and Renee say their boys were notified by Loudoun County Public Schools that LCPS's Title IX office found them responsible for sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination.
I would say the first reaction was some anger, because we were just really concerned with all this stuff. There was that. I was saddened by the decision-making process and how that went.
Seth's son faces a 10-day suspension and additional discipline to be handed out by school officials after a meeting with him. Renee and her family moved out of state this summer, but if her son were to ever return to the district, says LCPS, he would be suspended then.
Absolutely floored that they came back and branded my son responsible for sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination with no solid evidence whatsoever. We're talking about, scarring him for life by a biased process that's supposed to protect fairness. It's shocking, it's wrong, and it should terrify every single parent.
Renee's concern is this will follow him because it's on his permanent academic record and could impact his college applications. LCPS's policy allows students to use bathrooms and locker rooms based on their chosen gender identity. Seth and Renee believe LCPS is sending a message that any student who expresses views that disagree with so-called Policy 8040 will be punished.
They're going to have to follow what Loudoun County says, what they believe is right. And what goes against other people's beliefs or what we believe is right.
What they're doing to our children is just despicable.
Now, the boys and their families have a small window to appeal LCPS's decision.
7 News reached out to LCPS for a response on their findings in this case. They did not respond to 7 News. Now, the Family Freedoms Law Center, which has been representing the boys and their families in this case, says they're going to continue to work on this case until this decision is overturned. Nick Minock, 7 News.
All right, Nick, thank you. And this comes as Virginia's 5 largest school districts have decided to defy a federal order to change bathroom and locker room policies. The order from the Department of Education came down over the summer.
Yeah, it says letting students choose which rooms to use based on gender identity is a violation of Title IX. That's something the 5 school districts disagree with. We heard this morning from the superintendent of Fairfax County, one of the districts defying that order.
I did send a message home to families on Friday, and we're going to continue to be the school division that welcomes and includes all students, regardless of what the Office of Civil Rights has recently suggested. And we do expect some type of response at some point later this week. But until then, we're excited about welcoming our students back to school.
So yeah, this has been a trending story on our social media all last night and continuing through today. Just when you think Loudoun County couldn't sink any lower, right? So there's 5 of Virginia's largest school districts that are basically saying they are in defiance. They are going to prioritize pretend boys and allow them to be in the girls' locker rooms and bathrooms and sports. In the case referenced in this video, it was actually 2 middle school boys that were simply expressing they're uncomfortable having a biological girl, a girl who identifies as a boy, in their locker room. And they simply said, why is a girl in here? The video that you saw, that was taken by the girl who filed the complaint. She was secretly recording the boys as they were changing and recording their conversation. And yet the school district is going to punish the boys. They face a 10-day suspension. That mom was right when she said, and I'm going to quote, every parent should be terrified. They absolutely should. We had a similar case to this in Kiel, Wisconsin 2 years ago, where 3 boys were facing charges of sex-based discrimination and sexual harassment just because they used the wrong pronouns for a girl who wanted to not use she, her pronouns, but instead use they, them pronouns. So this is the insanity that we deal with. So the woke mind virus isn't completely gone yet, is it? There's still fights, there's still battles, and we're going to probably see a lot more of them in the coming weeks as school starts. Though the vast majority of school districts, I believe, are going to try to be in compliance or at least kind of walk the line. There are going to be these outlier school districts that are in open rebellion, and they're going to want to bring cases forward, and they just can't quit woke, can they? So I really did want to just kind of focus on this. Virginia is going to be very important in the coming months. There is a very big governor's election there, and there's in Ohio, Pennsylvania. So these are some of the key states that we'll be talking a lot more about, because during this midterm election year, there's only a few states that are going to have elections that are maybe going to serve as sort of bellwethers for the country. So with that, I'm going to sign off and take my daughter to her appointment. Do not forget, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central, tune in to the Fire of Liberty show and watch Tina Deskovich talk with Jennifer Say. And I think it's going to be a great conversation. So everyone have a wonderful day. That was a recap of the news from last week and a little bit of news this week. And we'll make sure we do this every week, because if you're busy and there's a lot of content that's put out there, this is a easy way for you to be up to date on these issues, these culture war issues, parental rights, what's happening in schools, and what's important to families. And that's what we strive to do. We strive to be the voice for parents and talk about what is important to families in America. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. And we're going to watch a little bit more of the summit as we head out.
Elena, what state are you from?
New York.
Hawaii.
I'm from Texas, Washington. I have my kids actually with me to do the march.
Wherever I go, odds are there is a Moms for Liberty group or a whole tribe in the room sounding off loud and proud.
And you could see the passion here because it's about supporting kids.
Pledge to each other that we will live like men and women who are determined to remain free.
I'm for parental rights all the way.